All right, so here's that news we teased at the top of the show. UCLA fired head coach Deshaun Foster today after an 0-3 start to the season and named former Bulldog head coach Tim Skipper as their interim head coach. The former Fresno State All-Conference linebacker was in his first year as a special assistant to Foster with the Bruins after serving as the Dogs' interim head coach last year. This news coming 2 days after the Bruins lost 35-10 at a pretty empty Rose Bowl to New Mexico. Yeah, a very sparse crowd there. And it's now time for our Ultimate Insider, brought to you by FFB Bank, and our pleasure to welcome in a former teammate of Tim Skipper's
That's
in
right.
college, Cameron Worrell.
Yeah.
Cam, thanks for coming by.
Of course.
Got to get your reaction to that news.
I'm happy for Skip. Another opportunity for him to kind of show what he can do as a head coach. Obviously, another very difficult situation. He's good friends with Deshaun Foster. They did not look like a very good football team against New Mexico. So coming off up to a bye week, Tim gets another opportunity to just show what type of football coach he is.
Cam, you were on the call last night for the Fresno State Southern game. What is your biggest takeaway from yesterday's game?
E.J. Warner. I mean, E.J. Warner looked like the guy that I think everybody expected him to be. Poised, under control, making good decisions with the football, not putting the ball at risk, protecting the ball, and then finding open receivers. When he was under pressure, he found his check down. Speedy Luke, Bryson Donaldson, I thought he did a magnificent job of orchestrating that offense last night.
Obviously, it's an FCS team, a SWAC team, right? So, I mean, it's a good win for the Dogs. They look good. How much stock do you put in this win?
But I mean, I think they did all the things that you hoped they would do. They protected E.J. Warner. They were able to run the football outside of a drive and a half against that Southern offense. I mean, they completely dominated the defensive front on the back end. So I think they did everything that they needed to do against an opponent that they had outmatched. How much stock, I don't know. I think it's a good win. They've won 3 in a row. They've gained a lot of confidence over those 3 weeks after a really tough week 0 opponent in Kansas. So I think they're feeling as good as they could be with a very tough road test in Hawaii next week.
You mentioned you were impressed with E.J. Warner. How important was it for him to have those 4 touchdown passes last night? No interceptions, a really clean game from him.
Yeah, I think everybody in that program was just sick of hearing E.J. Warner has 5 interceptions and no touchdowns, right? And he showed last night, I think, the guy that this coaching staff saw in training camp, the guy that they expected to play when he took over as the starter week 0 against Kansas, just that experienced guy who can orchestrate an offense, who can take what the defense gives him, not try to do too much. And I think that's a extremely valuable skill going into Mountain West Conference play. Rely on your running backs, rely on your weapons, don't put your team at risk. If he does that, this team can have a lot of success in 2025.
All right, we're 4 games in, which I think is a good time to take stock on where this team is at, especially as we get ready for conference play. What's impressed you the most about the early returns here in the Matt Entz era?
I think the play of this offensive line. They gave up a sack last night. They hadn't given up a sack in a couple weeks, but the offensive line was not a strong point last year. They struggled getting pushed in the run game. They struggled to protect the quarterback last year. They look like a completely different unit. They're moving guys around in the run game. They're giving different looks to a defense and having success doing that. A really good pass rusher last night, completely neutralized by this offensive line. And he was one-on-one in a lot of situations, and he was handled by Roland Fullwood and Braden Walton last night. So the offensive line, which is Matt Entz is not shy about talking about how this team goes, is how the offensive line goes, and they have played a fantastic start to the 2025 season.
The Bulldogs were picked 5th in the Mountain West preseason poll. Should they be a serious contender for the Mountain West this season? Yeah,
I mean, you look at their schedule. They have to go to Boise. They have to go to Colorado State. They do have some tough road games. Hawaii is always a really difficult place to play, but right now I think it's Boise, and San Jose State probably, because they can move the football. I would put them at the top of the Mountain West right now. Colorado State is going to be difficult on the road as well, but they are far better than the 5th team in the Mountain West Conference right now. I think based on the first 4 games of the season, if I was making odds right now, it's Fresno and Boise, with UNLV probably that 3rd team that could end up in the Mountain West Championship game.
All right, I haven't asked you, but I'm assuming you're headed to Hawaii this week?
I'm not. Kenny Wiggins is going to be on the call.
Kenny got the call.
I have a TV game on Friday night, so
Kenny's
won't be in Hawaii.
getting the vacation.
Yeah. All right. Cam's already tan. He doesn't need it. All right. Well, the Hawaii game is this week, right? And coaches always talk about the challenge that brings, right? Going to the islands. What is that challenge?
I think it's keeping guys focused who may have. The first time I was in Hawaii was my junior year playing against the University of Hawaii. So you want to take Hawaii in a little bit. I think you don't have your guard up the whole time. You're not preparing like you normally would when you kind of focus in 48 hours before game time. You really start to just focus on football. There's a lot more to focus on when you're in Hawaii for the first time. So I think it's just keeping guys focused, keeping their mind on the task at hand. 18 to 22-year-olds, pretty tough to corral, especially when they're excited about being in a new location. So it's just kind of odd. The Hawaii fans are passionate, they're loud, it's a hostile place to play. So there's a lot going on that road trip.
Hawaii also 3-1. How do you see this game playing out?
Man, the secondary of Fresno State, it has a big test, right? The run and shoot with Timmy Chang, who's a mastermind at it. A lot of success as the quarterback at Hawaii, now the head coach. It's a big test for them. They struggled in the fourth quarter last year, gave up a fourth quarter lead to this Hawaii team because of some things that they do in the pass game. I think Fresno State's going to be able to run the football. If they keep E.J. Warner clean like they did last night, they'll be able to put points on the board, but it's all going to come down to how well that secondary can play against a very complex and difficult offense to slow down.
All right, that's Cameron Worrell. Kenny Wiggins, if you're watching out there, you owe him a steak dinner for this trip to Hawaii, right? Cam, thanks for joining us. Cam's not going to go anywhere, though. He'll stick around. We've got more with him coming up.